A common question I get since I started doing these videos more regularly is a lot of people have asked me, how do I get going? And I think I've done quite a few videos on starting. And it's something I've reflected on quite a lot. Last year I turned 40, which is it's just mad for me even saying that, because I can still literally remember matric like it was last year and turning 18. Um, and like any 40-year-old man, I had that panic, that anxiety, that fear, commonly referred to as the midlife crisis. This realization of your mortality and that this is not gonna last forever, and thinking, oh my gosh, am I halfway there? I'm halfway through my life. And as I worked through that, one of the things, and as I worked through that and I looked, where's the fear and the panic and the anxiety coming from? Undoubtedly, it was this feeling of wishing that I had done more, you know, that regret of, and I think that's what most people who go through a midlife crisis, that's essentially at the core of their fear, anxiety, or that feeling is unrealized potential. And I think that's one of the saddest things. I was thinking last year, one day when I'm dead, how will people describe me? And I don't want anyone at my funeral saying, oh, he had so much potential. He could have done so much more. We expected so much more from him, but he gave us so little. So I promised myself in the second half of my life that I'm going to work on that. I'm going to work on starting. I'm going to work on trying. And I read something yesterday by Fyodor Dostoevsky, and he once wrote, "Man is sometimes extraordinarily, passionately in love with suffering. Man is sometimes extraordinarily, passionately in love with suffering." And it made me think about the subject and what I want to talk about today. And when you read that, it might sound dramatic until you start observing people carefully. And that is one of the great advantages and joys of my job as a wealth manager, is that I encounter a vast array of people all the time, constantly. So you get the opportunity to observe people from different walks of life. And when you observe people carefully, what you realize is that many people say they want to change. And this is probably the biggest frustration I go through in doing this job, and why I constantly say I should have done a psychology degree, not a finance degree. Many people say they want to change, but unconsciously they work very hard to protect the identity that's keeping them stuck. So many people want to change, but unconsciously they're protecting the identity that's keeping them stuck. And that's one of the strangest things about human nature, because people adapt to their pain because it's familiar. They know it, they're comfortable with it. Even when that pain is destroying them. The unhappy employee stays, the unhealthy person delays change, training, eating properly. The unhappy couple try and work it out again. The talented creator never publishes. The ambitious person never starts. Not because they lack intelligence, not because they don't know what to do, not because they're not capable, but because uncertainty, the thought of trying, threatens their very identity. And like I've said many times before, identity is very powerful. How we view ourselves and what we think we're capable of and what we think we deserve. Most people think they're afraid of failure. And I think actually what they're afraid of is social exposure. It's public failure. It's not the trying and failing itself, it's the trying and failing in front of people. Being seen to try, being judged publicly, looking foolish before becoming competent. telling our friends and family, these are my dreams, this is what I want to do, and they're like, who do you think you are? I think that is the fear. They're afraid of social exposure, not of failure itself. And that fear traps an enormous amount of potential because people who are capable of more and can do more never do it, especially intelligent people. Especially intelligent people. Because intelligent people are very good at rationalizing hesitation. They can rationalize hesitation beautifully. They can over prepare, they can overthink, they can overanalyze, and they can give you so many reasons why now is not the time to start. But next thing you know, years have passed and nothing has changed materially. And that's the danger of comfort being disguised as intelligence. At some point, thinking, preparing, analyzing simply just becomes avoidance. And this is why execution matters. And that's why I committed to myself that start. Execution matters so much economically. The modern world massively rewards visible action, not hidden potential. A person who's publishing consistently online builds leverage. Start. Start and learn on the job. A person building skills publicly builds opportunity. Someone will want to help you because they're seeing that you are trying. A person taking repeated shots eventually collides with luck and hits the bullseye. You've got to be in the game. You've got to be trying. You've got to put yourself out there. Meanwhile, the intelligent observer often, if not always, stays invisible and grows up to be the intelligent, judgmental uncle, aunt, pick your label. Potential has no market value. That's what I've learned. Execution does. If even executing something badly has more market value than the best plan, the best potential that is never executed. Potential has no market value, execution does. And that's hard for many people to accept because internally they compare themselves to less capable people succeeding publicly. And I've been one of those people where I'm like, I'm smarter than that person. I'm more capable than that person. I'm doing more than that person. How come they are more successful than me? And I had to accept I'm the intelligent observer. I'm observing what I'm not doing. I'm comparing myself to someone I deem less capable, but who is succeeding publicly. And whether they're less capable or not, that is personal. It's not objective, it's subjective. That's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is we've all been there where you're like, why are they succeeding and I'm not when I feel I'm more capable? And that's where resentment appears. And now the people you're supposed to be learning from and networking with and partnering with, you see them as your enemies. You see them as competition. You start building barriers because you are resentful. But the market does not reward internal capability. It rewards demonstrated capability. And that's why courage matters more than most people realize. Not emotional courage, but practical courage, the courage to do something, the courage to publish, to sell, to speak, to build, to risk embarrassment, to risk rejection, to risk visible imperfection. Because every meaningful life requires periods where you are temporarily misunderstood. That's the price. Most people avoid that price entirely, which is why so many people remain trapped in private potential. Stop asking yourself whether you're capable. You are capable. Start asking whether you are willing to be visible while becoming capable, while pursuing mastery. Because mastery will expose you to the public. And public exposure feels dangerous to the ego, especially early when you're not sure of yourself. But you gotta do it. You gotta find one thing you've been privately postponing and make it real. That is the command I live by in the second half of my life. publish the idea, launch the project, send the proposal, start the business, create the content, badly if necessary. Because action creates momentum, momentum creates feedback, feedback creates improvement. And the people who change their lives are usually not the people who felt most ready. They are the people who became willing to look uncertain long enough to grow into strength.